Discover 4 incredible snacks that can transform your vision overnight. Seniors deserve this health miracle. In the quaint town of Maplewood, Ruth was an icon, a whirlwind of energy and laughter, known for her mouth-watering apple cinnamon bites and chocolate chip cookies. Every festive gathering echoed with the warmth of her baked treats, binding her family like a comforting quilt against the chill of the world. But now, as Ruth approached her 70th birthday, a cruel shadow had crept in. Her eyesight was fading. She often paused, holding a cookie tray as her hands trembled with uncertainty. "Is that enough sugar, dear?" she'd whisper, those words hanging heavy in the air, each tremor a reminder of her slipping grasp on the very heart of her family gatherings. Emily, her spirited granddaughter, felt the weight of it all. At 22, her dreams shimmered in the distance, the vibrant city lights calling to her, electricity bustling with a world she longed to embrace. Yet woven tightly into her heart was the fabric of Ruth's unconditional love, a mix of flour, butter, and endless stories. The scent of warm cookies had always cradled her childhood, making the desperation of leaving seem unbearable. The more Ruth struggled, the tighter Emily clung to her. This was the motherly figure who had shaped her, molding her into the person she aspired to be. One evening, Emily stumbled across an article online for incredible snacks that can transform your vision overnight. With a spark igniting inside her, Emily envisioned a light of hope to cut through the gloom that had invaded their kitchen. What if she could concoct a recipe to help her grandmother? Eager determination washed over her. She dashed into the kitchen, the familiar clatter of pots and pans filling the air. As spices twinkled against the backdrop of memories, laughter spilled like the milk to her cookies. "Ready to whip up some magic, Grandma?" Emily called, her voice bright, though tinged with anxiety. Ruth shuffled in, silver hair a halo around her gentle face. Watching Emily, joy flickered in her eyes, and for a moment, it felt like the old days again. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Yet, just as their glimmer of hope began to shimmer, the local health company caught wind of Emily's culinary adventure. Soon, the atmosphere thickened with attention, a chance to elevate Ruth's legacy while maximizing profit. The stakes increased. Everyone whispered, some praised, others criticized, and Emily felt trapped. Was this what her grandmother's crown of recipes had turned into? Would promoting these snacks strip away the sanctity of their family tradition? Questions swirled, and their once cozy kitchen buzzed with uncertainty. "Emily," Ruth's voice trembled. "What is it you truly want, my dear?" In that moment, the air around them was electric, and the bond they'd nurtured over decades dangled preciously as they faced the storm swirling outside their beloved haven. Could they reclaim their narrative, their love, amidst this unraveling whirlwind, and still find a path forward? Would their cherished memories withstand the tides of change? Emily set the mixing bowl down and took a deep breath. "Grandma, I just want to help you," she replied, her voice tinged with desperation. She could see the uncertainty in Ruth's eyes, the flicker of concern battling with her usual warmth. The weight of potential fame felt like a pothole in the middle of their path. How could this opportunity, wrapped in the promise of healing, also feel like a chain dragging them down? Ruth let out a soft sigh. "And in helping me, you worry about losing us?" The old woman's hands rested on the countertop, fingers tracing the outline of the family recipe book, its pages worn and cherished. "Yes, I don't want the world to see our love for baking as a marketing ploy." Emily's words spilled out, a rush of emotion that left her vulnerable. "It's about you, about what we share, not some health craze." Ruth stepped closer, her gentle gaze searching Emily's face. "My sweet Emily, we've been through storms together. This could be a chance to share our love with others." Emily felt a pang of guilt. Ruth had always been the strong one, the one who embraced change with open arms. "But Grandma, what if it changes who we are? Who I am?" Tears began to pool in her eyes, blurring her vision, just as Ruth S. had begun to fade. With a soft smile, Ruth reached out, squeezing Emily S.'s hand. Change is part of life, my love. But what truly matters is the love we pour into what we do. Whether in cookies or in our hearts, that sweetness will always shine through. Emily could feel the warmth radiating from Ruth, the echo of every cookie they made together filling the room with memories and hope. The thought of letting go of their simple traditions scared her, but perhaps there was a way to blend the old with the new. As their kitchen swirled with the rich scents of cinnamon and chocolate, the idea began to take shape. Ruth's eyes twinkled brightly. Let us show the world what these snacks mean to us, to our family. We can add our story to each bite. The tension began to lift, replaced by a spark of excitement. We could host a tasting event. Invite folks over, share our snacks, and tell them about the recipes. It's about connection, Grandma. Ruth beamed, the glow of enthusiasm washing away her earlier doubt. Yes, we can highlight our journey, the love, the laughter, all of it. As the idea blossomed between them, a sudden knock broke their joyous momentum. Emily turned towards the door, the sound slicing through their moment of unity. Was it the health company, coming to claim the first right to their creations? Emily, go see who it is, Ruth urged, her expression shifting from excitement to concern once more. Heart pounding, she opened the door, and standing there was a familiar face, Mr. Thompson, the owner of the local bakery, a respected figure in Maplewood. Hey there, Emily. Got a minute? A sense of dread washed over her. What did he want? Would it be bad news? Or maybe, just maybe, it was an opportunity. As a knot formed in her stomach, Emily glanced back at Ruth, who offered an encouraging nod. Could this conversation steer them down a path they hadn't imagined? Or would it unravel everything they had worked to build? With every beat of her heart, she inhaled deeply, opening the door wider. Sure, Mr. Thompson. What's up? And just like that, the next chapter of their story was about to unfold, revealing surprises that neither of them saw coming. Mr. Thompson stepped into the cozy kitchen, a warm smile on his face. Emily noticed the way his eyes lit up at their surroundings, the kettle simmering on the stove, the hints of vanilla and chocolate heavy in the air. It felt like he was walking into a hidden treasure chest, filled with memories and flavors. But there was a gravity to his expression, something deeper than just pleasantries. Emily, I came by to talk about your grandma's recipes, he began, glancing at Ruth, who was wiping her hands on a dish towel, her curiosity apparent. I've heard some wonderful things, and I think they could be a game changer for both of us. There was an awkward pause as Emily tried to decipher his words. Game changer? For us? She echoed, her voice uncertain. Mr. Thompson nodded eagerly. I'd like to collaborate. You both have such a unique touch in your baking, and with the health market booming, I believe you could create a signature line that tells your story. People are craving authenticity now more than ever. Ruth's eyes sparkled with interest, but Emily's heart sank again. But, Mr. Thompson, it's not just about selling our recipes. It's about what they mean to us, to our family. Exactly, he replied, a spark of enthusiasm igniting in his eyes. That's what will set you apart. We can capture the essence of your bond through these snacks. Think about it, a series of events at the bakery featuring your creations, your family's history shared with each bite. It could be a celebration of community and tradition. Emily felt her stomach twist. There it was again, the blend of ambition and uncertainty. But what if it changes everything? People want to see the love in it, just the profit, she protested with a shaky breath. Mr. Thompson took a step closer. I understand your hesitation, but think about the impact. You both have a chance not just to share your recipes, but to share love, the kind of love that nourishes. Imagine seniors in this town amazed by the flavors and the stories behind them. It's healing, it brings people together. Emily looked at Ruth, whose face was lit up with the possibilities. Would Grandma really want to mix their cherished memories with the business world? That's what we've always done, Ruth said softly, her voice carrying a weight of wisdom. Share food and love. What is more authentic than that? But Emily started, unsure. Try it, Ruth encouraged, her blue eyes steady and shimmering with belief. We'll keep our soul in it. If it feels wrong, we can stop. But what if it feels right? There was a fire inside her, a flicker of excitement alongside the anxiety. Could they truly do this? Integrating their cherished traditions with something fresh? All right, she finally said, taking a deep breath. But just for this event. And we do it our way. No sacrificing our heart. Mr. Thompson beamed. That's the spirit. Let us set a date. I'll handle the logistics of the tasting event, and you both can focus on the recipes. As they began to talk details, excitement burst within Emily, mingling with trepidation. Could they really manage this new path without losing what mattered most? With commitment in their hearts, they dove into the planning, unaware that an unexpected twist was about to challenge everything they thought they knew. A phone call interrupted their discussion, the sound piercing the thriving delight of the moment. When Ruth answered, the color drained from her face. What? You must be mistaken. Emily's heart sank again, and she felt the old fears creeping back. What news was waiting on the other end? The chapter of their journey was just opening, but the next page threatened to reveal something neither of them expected. Ruth's voice trembled on the other end of the line, her usual calm replaced by an edge of panic. Emily stood frozen, her heart pounding like a drum. She moved closer, straining to hear fragments of her mother's conversation. Words like hospital, unexpected, and urgent floated back, stabbing at Emily with each syllable. What happened? Emily finally whispered when Ruth's gaze turned glassy. Her mother lowered the phone, her hand shaking slightly. It's Grandma, Ruth managed, her voice breaking. She's in the hospital. They think it might be serious. Emily's world tilted dangerously on its axis. Her grandmother. The woman whose hands had kneaded countless batches of dough. The one who knitted warmth into every corner of their home with her recipes and stories. She couldn't imagine a world without her. What exactly did they say? Ruth swallowed hard. They just wanted us to come down. There's a lot they need to check. The tremor in her mother's voice told Emily all she needed to know. A wave of nausea washed over her. But we have the event to plan. How can we even think about this? The words spilled out, frantic. Just yesterday, they had been energized, plotting a new future. Now, everything felt different. Ruth took a step toward Emily, her face softening with understanding. I know, sweetheart. But right now, we need to be there for Grandma. She would do the same for us. Feeling the weight of her mother's conviction, Emily clenched her fists, torn between loyalty to her grandmother and the flickering hope they had just ignited with Mr. Thompson. What if we lose her? Will everything just fall apart? Let us not think that way, Ruth urged, her voice steadier now. We can find a way to balance this. Grandma's love for baking is the heart of what we stand for. She wouldn't want us to abandon that. A teardrop escaped Emily's eye, but she quickly swiped it away. What if this event is our way of honoring her? Our first real step into this new venture could come from her strength. She taught us everything. Maybe that's how we keep her spirit alive. Ruth nodded, that spark of hope igniting in her own eyes. Then let us do both. We'll be with Grandma and still move forward with our plans. It gives us a reason to keep her legacy alive through our cooking. As they hurriedly gathered their things to head to the hospital, something shifted inside Emily. A renewed sense of purpose bubbled up. The plan was still on, now layered with deeper meaning. Let us make the bake sale the best it can be. For Grandma, Emily said firmly. And we can call Mr. Thompson. He'll understand. Ruth added, her voice gaining strength as they stepped out of the house. The world felt heavier, yet full of promise. They could navigate this storm together. The warmth from the kitchen lingered in the air, and as the sun began to set, a feeling of resolute love wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Yet, as they drove toward the hospital, a sense of unease began to coil in Emily's heart. What if this journey leads to something neither of them planned? The kind of truth that reshapes everything. A thought loomed larger, darker. What if they weren't just fighting for their grandmother, but for something far beyond? The questions lingered, echoing through the car as they made their way into the uncertain night. The drive to the hospital felt like an eternity. Emily stared out the window as the scenery blurred by. Streetlights flickered on one by one, casting fleeting shadows in the car. Each flash was a reminder of their urgency, but it also brought a heaviness that sat in her stomach like a stone. Ruth's fingertips drummed nervously against the steering wheel. Do you think we should have brought more? She asked, her voice a mix of anxiety and practicality. Maybe some of Grandma's cookies? It might cheer her up. Maybe if it doesn't seem too much. It depends on how she is. Emily replied, her mind racing. Was this just a minor scare? Or was it something darker hiding beneath the surface? As they pulled into the hospital parking lot, a wave of dread washed over them. The building loomed large and sterile against the twilight, a harsh contrast to the warmth of their kitchen where they shared laughter and recipes. They parked and sat in silence for a moment, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. Emily finally broke the stillness. I just wish I could talk to her. No, she's going to be okay. She could already feel the ache of loss creeping in, though they hadn't even seen her yet. Me too, Ruth admitted, her voice wavering. But we can't jump to conclusions. Until we know more, we keep hope. They climbed out of the car, the chill of the evening seeping into their bones. Each step felt heavy as they approached the entrance. Ruth led the way, but Emily hung back, her thoughts racing. What if they weren't prepared for whatever they would face inside? The hospital had a way of stealing hope and replacing it with uncertainty. They walked into the lobby, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and the antiseptic smell hitting them like a wave. People hustled by, some with smiles of relief, others with eyes filled with despair. It was a strange world, one Emily wished she didn't have to enter today. Ruth approached the receptionist, her voice steady as she inquired about Grandma. The receptionist, with her kind but tired eyes, promptly pointed them to a waiting area. Emily's heart sank. What if Grandma needed them to be strong, and they were crumbling already? They settled into the uncomfortable plastic chairs. It felt like a waiting game, with tension filling the air between them. After what felt like hours, a doctor finally approached. He was tall, with a weary expression that made Emily's stomach twist tighter. Ms. Robinson? He asked, looking directly at Ruth. I have news about your mother. Emily's heart raced. She could see it in her mother's eyes, the flicker of fear mixed with hope that as the doctor began to speak. Emily's mind drifted. Suddenly, the idea of the bake sale didn't just seem like a tribute to Grandma. It felt like a way to reclaim something, a desperate effort to hold on to normalcy in a world that felt uncontrollable. And while her condition is serious, we are optimistic about the treatment plan. The doctor's voice sifted through Emily's thoughts, but she barely absorbed the words. Wait, Ruth interjected suddenly. What does that mean for her recovery? The doctor adjusted his glasses, shifting more into their line of sight. It means there is hope, but we will need to monitor her closely. It's a long road ahead. Emily held her breath. In that moment, everything hinged on what would come next. They needed a fight in their hearts, something to rally around. As they processed the news, a new urgency ignited in Emily. They had a purpose now, a reason to push forward. Yet, the chilling thought crept back in. What if this was merely the beginning? What else could be lurking ahead, waiting to be uncovered? Ruth squeezed Emily's hand tightly. We'll get through this together, she said. But as that determination flickered in her eyes, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the start of something far more complex than either of them anticipated. What lay beyond this moment, deep in the shadows of truth? Emily felt the weight of the doctor's words linger in the air. Hope, yes, but wrapped in uncertainty. She glanced over at Ruth, whose face was a canvas of raw emotions, relief mingled with fear. It was a lot to carry in a single moment, but they had no choice. Can we see her? Ruth asked, breaking the silence that threatened to consume them again. The doctor nodded, his face flickering with a shadow of empathy. Yes, she's in room 204. Just remember, she's a bit disoriented. But she'll be happy to see you, he said gently as they walked down the fluorescent-lit corridor. Emily's stomach twisted tighter with every step. The white walls seemed to close in. Every sound amplified the beeping of machines, the murmurs of nurses. She felt small, vulnerable, like a child lost in a crowd. What if she doesn't recognize us? Emily whispered, anxiety sharpening her words. Ruth paused, a hand on Emily's shoulder. She will. She knows our voices. Just be there for her. That's all she needs. They stopped outside the room. The door was slightly ajar, and through the small opening, Emily could see her grandmother lying on the bed. She looked fragile, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by the sterile confines of the hospital. Emily felt a sharp pang in her chest. Okay, let us go. Ruth pushed the door open, stepping in first. Hey, Grandma, she said softly. The old woman turned her head slowly, her eyes fluttering as she focused on them. There was a moment of confusion, like she was trying to place where she had seen them last. Then, recognition sparkled in her eyes. and a flicker of a smile broke through the weariness. "Ruth." "Emily," she whispered, her voice frail but warm. Emily rushed forward, wrapping her arms around her grandmother. The embrace felt so right, and yet so fragile. She could feel the dampness of Grandma's hair against her cheek, the sharp scent of hospital soap invading her senses. "We were so worried," Emily whispered, feeling tears threaten to spill over. "I'm okay, my loves," Grandma replied softly, though her voice lacked the usual robust strength. "Just tired." Emily stepped back, taking a moment to really look at her. Grandma's skin was pale, her eyes lined with shadows, but the spark was still there. That flicker made the heaviness inside Emily begin to lift, if only just a little. Ruth perched on the edge of the bed. "The doctor said their essay plan. You're going to get better." Grandma nodded slowly. "I believe that. But I need your help, you both. I'm not ready to leave you yet." The words wrapped around Emily's heart, squeezing it tight. "Of course, Grandma. We'll fight together," she said, her voice steadying. As they settled in, talking softly about memories and plans, Emily felt a rush of purpose. The bake sale could be more than just a fundraiser. It could be a celebration. They would raise money, but they would also rally their friends, share stories, and connect deeply with those who cared for Grandma. But then a shadow crossed her mind. What if the road ahead was more difficult than they anticipated? What would they do if the worst came to pass? That unsettling thought hovered like a specter. Suddenly, Grandma's grip tightened around Emily's hand, pulling her back from that dark corner. "Promise me something," she said, her voice stronger now. "No matter what happens, you both keep living. Don't stop chasing your dreams. Promise?" "I promise," Ruth said without hesitation. Emily nodded, though the uncertainty weighed heavily on her. How could they promise something so big when the future felt so unknown? "Good," Grandma said softly. "Now tell me about that bake sale." As they shared laughter and stories, Emily caught Ruth's gaze. It was a silent agreement, a vow to not let darkness win. But the question lingered, pulling at her heart. Could they stay strong when the challenges mounted? Outside the room, the world surged on, unaware of the storm brewing within their small family. Emily could sense it, something looming just out of sight, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But as her grandmother smiled, determination sparked in Emily's chest. They would hold on tight, no matter what awaited them beyond those hospital walls. Emily sat next to her grandmother, listening to her recount tales from simpler days. The soft sound of her voice, fragile yet comforting, wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Ruth leaned in closer, absolutely engrossed in the stories they had heard 1,000 times before, yet today, they felt fresh. Faded memories emerged as vibrant brushstrokes on a canvas painted with love. "Remember the time I tried to bake you both that chocolate cake and nearly set the kitchen on fire?" Grandma chuckled, her laughter a melodic chiming in the quiet room. Emily couldn't help but laugh too. "You used a whole stick of butter, Grandma. I thought you were trying to make us cholesterol kings." The moment lightened the air between them, as Grandma's hand squeezed Emily's, reminding her that this laughter was precious. They shared bittersweet smiles, vulnerable yet buoyed by the connection. But just as light entered, shadows lurked nearby. Emily's mind raced with doubt. Would there still be afternoons filled with laughter? What if this moment was one of the last? "Let us make that chocolate cake again," Emily said suddenly, her heart leaping. "I'll be the chef this time, and you can be my assistant." Grandma's eyes twinkled. "Oh, I'll supervise for sure. And you better prepare for a bit of chaos. And a lot of flour." Ruth laughed, trying to imagine the kitchen mess that was bound to happen. But then Grandma's expression faltered, the mask of joy slipping, ever so slightly. "You know, dear," she said, her voice dipping ever more fragile, "I may not be able to be the sous chef forever. I need to focus on getting better." Each word felt like a conversation with reality. The laughter dimmed, fears slithering back into the light of the unexpected. Emily swallowed hard, the lump in her throat forming like an anchor. "Please, Grandma, just promise to fight. I need you to hold on," Emily said, her voice quivering with urgency. Grandma's eyes met hers, clear and powerful. "I promise, Emily. But this fight will need both of you. That bake sale, it's about more than funds. It's a way for me to feel the love around me, and a way for you both to connect with everyone who cares." Ruth cleared her throat, interrupting the heaviness. We'll make it the best bake sale ever. Everyone will come, and we'll celebrate you. This will be like a big family reunion with pastries. The thought of a room filled with laughter and love began to ease the heaviness, lighting a warm glow in Emily's chest. She took a deep breath, hoping to exhale some of her worry. Grandma, what if we all shared our favorite recipes? I mean, how cool would that be? A book of family recipes, all about your favorites. Emily felt the embers of hope spark again. The idea seemed to lift Grandma's spirits as if the suggestion was a balm for the uncertainty. That sounds lovely, dear. I'd love to hear what everyone else could bring too. The warmth slowly filled the room again, instilling a sense of purpose. But as they intently brainstormed ideas, Grandma suddenly paused, her expression shifting to something more introspective. Just promise me if it becomes too much, it's okay to take a step back. Remember that it's okay to lean on others. Of course. We'll share the weight, Ruth said, nodding earnestly. As their conversation flowed into a sea of plans and recipes, Emily felt an ache in her heart, but also an overwhelming sense of togetherness. Yet the tautness inside her remained a quiet question lingered, demanding attention. Could they really gather their strength not just for the bake sale, but for everything their future held? Just then, a nurse peeked into the room with a faint smile. Sorry to interrupt, but I'll need to check some vitals. Emily and Ruth shifted. Lingering hope mingled with anxiety spun tightly together. Let us make it happen, Grandma. One day at a time, Emily whispered, glancing back at her with both appreciation and determination. But as the nurse took a step closer, Emily felt the weight of her uncertainty settle deep within her again. What if one day, the laughter faded too soon? She inhaled, clinging to the hope of tomorrow, aware that uncertainty could be as dangerous as a storm brewing on the horizon. Would they have enough strength when it truly mattered? The nurse entered, her clipboard clasped tightly to her chest. All right, let us get started, she said, her tone warm yet professional. As she ran through the routine checks, Emily watched her grandmother's face carefully. Each beep from the monitor seemed to echo the rising anxiety in the room. How are you feeling today, Mrs. Harper? The nurse asked, a friendly smile lighting up her face. Grandma managed a small nod, but Emily could see the flicker of fatigue in her eyes. Just peachy, Grandma responded, her voice stronger than she felt, a hint of mischief creeping in. Emily smiled at the effort and couldn't help but admire her grandmother's spirit. See, you're still the funniest person I know, she said, trying to inject some levity. The nurse finished her routine and began jotting down notes. I'll be back shortly to check in again. Just press the button if you need anything, she reminded before leaving the room. The air felt heavier once the nurse was gone, a mixture of hope and dread swirling between them. Emily could sense that Grandma was trying to mask her discomfort, but despite all the laughter, the shadows of reality lingered. Grandma, about that recipe book, I think it'll really bring everyone together, Emily said, trying to refocus their conversation. We could ask Aunt Lisa for her famous blueberry pie and get Uncle Mike's chili if he's not too grumpy about it. Oh, I love the idea of the chili. But you'll need to supervise him closely. That man thinks he's a 5-star chef, Grandma chuckled, her eyes sparkling for a moment before the light faded slightly. The laughter was momentary. Emily felt the bite of sorrow, a twisting knot in her stomach. What if we make it even bigger, she suggested, her heart racing. What if we turn it into a community event? Get everyone involved. Spread the word. A thoughtful silence followed. Grandma's gaze turned wistful, as if she were envisioning the connections, the faces gathered around tables laden with family foods, the childlike laughter echoing from the past. That could be beautiful, dear, Grandma said softly. But remember to take care of yourselves too. You can't carry everything on your shoulders. I know, Emily replied. But deep down she felt the urgency pushing her forward. It felt like the weight of their family legacy was hanging in the air, and she was determined to preserve it. I feel like time is running out. Time is a tricky thing, Grandma whispered, looking out the window where the sun was dipping lower, casting golden rays that danced across her well-lined face. But every moment we share builds something special, even if it feels fleeting. Emily drew closer, holding her grandmother's hand tighter. Then let us make every moment count. Every cookie, every cake, even if it's just flour and eggs. For a moment, It felt like the burdens lifted. But then, the distant sounds of alarms and footsteps echoed down the hallway, bringing back reality. What if things get worse? Ruth's voice was shaky, and Emily could see fear in her eyes. Then we'll face it together, Emily declared, her heart pounding with determination. We can't lose. We won't lose. As silence surrounded them, the resolve felt stronger, yet the weight still loomed. There was more at stake than just a bake sale. It was about love, legacy, and the hope that their bond could weather any storm. Suddenly, from behind the curtain, the nurse returned hurriedly, holding a sheet of paper. I'm sorry, but there is something I need to discuss with you both. Emily froze, her heart sinking. What now? As her grandmother's grip tightened, she braced herself for whatever news awaited them. Would it shatter the fragile hopes they'd built? Her mind raced, the uncertainty gnawing at her in that moment. It felt like everything was teetering on the edge of a knife. The nurse stepped in, her expression shifting from professional to sympathetic. I need to talk to you about some tests we ran, she said, her tone serious but gentle. Emily felt her pulse quicken, a jolt of fear running through her. She glanced at Grandma, who looked unfazed but held on to Emily's hand tighter. Tests? Emily echoed, trying to sound calm. But inside, a storm brewed. She remembered stories of patients getting bad news and how quickly hope could vanish in those sterile rooms. Yes, we need to discuss the results, the nurse continued, her eyes fixed on Emily. I think it's important for you both to hear this together. The room felt smaller, the walls inching closer as confusion crept in. Would they really reveal something they couldn't handle? Is it? Emily began, but the words stuck in her throat. The nurse took a deep breath. The doctor is concerned about your grandmother's condition. The tests indicate that. Her heart isn't functioning as well as we hoped. Each word was a lead weight, dropping down into the pit of Emily's stomach. She felt the blood drain from her face. Grandma's fingers stiffened, but surprisingly, she managed to keep her head high. I expected something like this, Grandma said, her voice steady. But all we can do is keep fighting, right? Emily's heart swelled with admiration. Yet anger flared inside her. Why was this happening? Why were they being tested like this? There has to be something more. We can try something, can't we? The nurse hesitated, then nodded gently. There are options, but we need to discuss a treatment plan. It will be a process, and there are no guarantees. Emily felt the tears welling up, stinging her eyes. But she is strong. She can do this. Of course I can, Grandma replied, her eyes softening as she looked at Emily. Listen, sweetheart, we will get through this. It's just another chapter in our family story. That struck Emily. Grandma was right. Her grandmother had faced storms in life before, and here she was, standing tall. I know, Emily replied, shaking her head, feeling foolish. We can fight back, together. We always do. The nurse nodded, her expression warming. If you both are prepared, we can set up a meeting with the doctor to talk through options. It's about tackling this step by step. Step by step, Emily repeated, her heart still racing, but feeling a shimmer of hope at Grandma's resilience. We've done that before, haven't we? Absolutely, Grandma said, squeezing Emily's hand with fierce determination. With a little laughter, a sprinkle of hope, and your famous cookies, nothing can bring us down. For the first time that day, a smile broke through Emily's worry. Suddenly, a loud beeping alarm pierced the air. The nurse's expression dropped as she spun toward the monitor. Excuse me, I need to check. A whirlwind of activity erupted outside their room. Doctors and nurses rushed past, their faces tense. Emily felt a chill as she and Grandma exchanged glances. Emily, Grandma said, her voice firm yet shaky, no matter what happens, we stay together. Promise? I promise, Emily choked out, feeling the warmth of Grandma's presence hold her steady. But in that moment, uncertainty swirled around them like a heavy fog. The air hung thick with questions, but the nurse's urgency to step out carried the fear of the unknown. What if this was the turning point? Would they be able to face whatever lay ahead? As the commotion continued, Emily's heart raced with a fierce mixture of hope and dread. What would they discover on the other side of this storm? As the blaring alarm echoed down the hallway, Emily felt her heart pound in sync with the beeping of the machines. Grandma squeezed her hand tighter, but the tension between them was palpable. Emily, no matter what happens, don't lose hope. she said, her voice steady yet laced with a vulnerability that was hard to miss. The nurse rushed out, calling for help, leaving the two of them in a swirling sea of confusion and anxiety. Time stood still. Emily's mind raced with countless questions, each one weighed down by that insistent knot in her stomach. What trouble had come knocking at their door now? Suddenly, a doctor burst into the room, his face a mix of urgency and composure. "Mrs. Harper, we need to move you to ICU. There has been a sudden change in your vitals." Grandma's gaze remained firm, but Emily could see the shadows creeping in behind her eyes. "What do you mean a change?" Grandma pressed, her voice more demanding than uncertain. "It's best that you come with us," the doctor said, glancing back toward the bustling hallway. "We need to monitor you closely. It's serious." The words sent a jolt through Emily. This wasn't just a routine check anymore. Something deeper was unfolding. She looked at her grandmother and felt tears welling up. "I can't lose you," she whispered, panic curling around her heart. "Emily, I'm still here," Grandma said, her voice tight but reassuring. "I want you to promise me something. Whatever happens, keep the bake sale on track. Keep our story alive." Ruth returned, her face wrought with concern, just in time to hear Grandma's decree. "What is happening?" she asked, breathless. "Grandma's going to ICU," Emily said, barely able to formulate the words through her fierce emotions. "No," Ruth exclaimed, her hands gripping the edge of the bed. "You can't do this to us, not now. We need her." "The best thing we can do is get her stabilized," the doctor replied, maintaining his professionalism amid the storm of emotions swirling around. "We'll take care of her. Trust us." They wheeled Grandma away, leaving Emily and Ruth standing in the stark, white room, their world suddenly upended. "Why is this happening?" Ruth lamented, her voice cracking. "Because we need to fight," Emily replied, feeling a fierce fire ignite within her. "We need to honor Grandma's spirit. We'll keep planning the bake sale. We'll do it for her. She wants us to." "But what if," Ruth began, but emotion cut her off. "What if she doesn't make it?" "No," Emily interjected, a mix of determination and fear lending strength to her words. "We can't think like that. We need every ounce of hope we have." With that fierce resolve, they both turned and began planning right from that sterile waiting room, ideas for decorations, ways to spread the word, even a theme that spoke to their shared legacy. Days passed, and as Emily juggled meetings with Mr. Thompson about the bake sale and frequent visits to the hospital, her heart carried the weight of both hope and dread. Grandma was still in ICU, and every call from the hospital bore the heaviness of uncertainty. "Just remember, my loves," Grandma said weakly one day as they gathered around her at the hospital, her spirit fighting against the odds. "It's love that holds this family together. You don't need to carry everything. Share it with those around you." And with those words ringing in their hearts, the bake sale arrived. The community rallied, friends and neighbors, old and young, poured into the bustling hall at the local community center. Banners hung, and the smell of cinnamon and sugar wafted into the air, an enticing welcome. As Emily served cookie after cookie, she caught snippets of conversations, laughter, and cherished memories spilling out, just like the warm scents from the ovens. "This cookie reminds me of your grandma," one neighbor said, and Emily felt a swell of pride wash over her. She could almost see Grandma beaming with happiness, her love radiating through every bite they took. Ruth stood at the front, speaking about their journey, their struggles, and also their victories. It fueled the event as they shared stories, bound by flour, love, and determination. Their community's faces glowed with appreciation, embracing the very essence of family that transcended throughout generations. And as the sun began to set, the final tally from the day was announced. Emily's heart soared. They had raised enough to cover Grandma's treatments and more. It was a solid reminder that love, when shared, multiplies. When they rushed home that evening, their hearts swelling with joy and promise, Emily's phone buzzed. A message from the doctor awaited. Grandma was stable. "Let us go," Ruth exclaimed, her excitement contagious. As the door swung open to Grandma's hospital room, the strong scent of flowers flooded in, and the sight of her smiling face felt like an anchor in their turbulent life. "Look at you two," Grandma exclaimed. "You did it. You made the bake sale a success." Emily rushed to her side, her heart full as she squeezed her grandmother's hand tightly. feeling the warmth radiating between them. All thanks to you, Grandma. We're keeping your legacy alive. In that moment, surrounded by love, laughter, and the warmth that filled the room, the fear melted away like ice in sunlight. Together, they deface whatever came next, hand in hand, leaning into each other through thick and thin. And the road wouldn't be easy. There would be bumps ahead. But love had a way of lighting the path, reassuring them that every moment mattered. Every cookie baked, every story shared. They would keep moving forward, together. So here's the moment to support their journey further. You need to subscribe now to follow along as this incredible story unfolds. Now is the time to leave a like to feed the algorithm and help this message reach those who need it the most. Tell us how you felt about the ending in the comments. Your reactions matter, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who should witness this beautiful transformation. Together, let us spread the word about love, family, and the power of a homemade cookie.